Welcome back to MMA Oddsbreaker. I'm Frank Trigg. That's Nate Jolly getting ready to fight Will Brooks coming up here on Bellator 120, May 17th. Nate, you're a professional fighter. You've had 18 amateur fights, correct? Is it 18?
I actually had 26, but some of those never got logged in. I was 23-3 as an amateur.
Jeez. And now you're 13-5 as a pro. I called you yesterday
Yep.
to set up our interview, and you've been competing in this sport for a long time, but yet you still have to share a car with your girlfriend. It's not all the hype that everybody thinks, right? It's not all the hype that, oh, he's on TV, he's on a pay per view card, he must be making a lot of money. It's still a constant day to day battle as a professional MMA fighter, even in the biggest league of Bellator, which is the second tier behind the UFC. You're still trying to win this fight to buy a new car.
Well, I mean, I haven't always been out of a car, but it's one of those things. When you're up, you're up, and when you're down, you're down. Um, I have two college degrees. I have a degree in social work and a degree in public health. But to really pursue, this dream, I had to kind of put real jobs on hold. So, I work a part-time job here, a part-time job there, and that allows me to train, the 2 to 6 hours a day sometimes that it requires. So yeah, I mean, I have friends that are lucky enough to have their own business and that sort of thing, or have a lot of financial support. But if you're not one of those guys, then you have to sacrifice a lot to do what we do.
What are your part time jobs that you usually gravitate towards?
Um, I bounce at a couple local nightclubs. Um, right now, I work at a call center a couple days a week. Um, anything, pretty much anything that'll pay the bills. A lot of labor work. Stuff that's under the table. Um, I took some time off last year, and I got a real job for a while. Being a substance abuse counselor, but when I decided I wanted to pick it back up, those sort of things had to go.
Well, you spent a lot of time in XFC down in Florida, getting your record padded up and built up. You've had some pretty tough competition down there, and you've done pretty well against it. What do you rate Will Brooks as far as toughness of competition? Is he one of the tougher guys you competed against, or is he mid road at this point?
No, I mean Will Brooks is definitely tough. You'd have to be an idiot to say he's not tough. He's 13-1. The one he lost, he came back and beat again. I'm not big on rematches, but some people really think that means something. And he's fighting top level competition. I would never say, for a couple reasons, that someone I'm fighting isn't tough. One, it doesn't, it's bad for the sport, and two, it doesn't make me look good if I'm like, yeah, I'm fighting bummy dudes. So no, I know. I think he's tough. He's a legitimate athlete. He's young and he's hungry, and I think I've got a fight on my hands. Do I think he's as good as, say, Jamie Varner? I don't think he's probably that well rounded. Um, he's probably not quite that powerful. But at the same time, he's a tough, legit opponent, especially for where I'm at in my career. And I know that if I don't bring it 100% that day, that I'm gonna get my ass whooped. And I just hope that he knows that it's the same thing. I'm a dark horse, and I like it like that.
What is Will Brooks' toughest thing that he brings in? Like, what's the one thing that you know for sure? He's gonna try to out wrestle you. He's gonna try to out box you. He's gonna try to out grapple you. Like, what's the toughest thing that he's gonna try to do to you?
Well, like I said, Will Brooks is very well rounded. 13 wins. I think he's got 4 subs, 4 decisions, and 5 TKOs. So, you can't really just sit back and go, well, this is the game plan. The game plan is to have a bunch of guys in on me all the time in all positions that are going to keep moving constantly. Will Brooks doesn't stop moving. He doesn't take a rest. Even when he's on top and it looks like he's resting, he's working something. So most of it has just been, constant work, steady work. If you're striking, if you're in a clinch, if you're on top, if you're on bottom, just keep constantly moving. Don't find rest. So that's been mostly the game. This camp has just been, every time you're in a situation, don't stop moving, don't rest, don't let up. And that's how my partners have been treating me. If I'm in a bad spot or a good spot, they're constantly scrambling to their feet. They're constantly throwing punches. And that's kind of, that's kind of been the game.
Who are your train partners for this one?
I trained with a guy named Tyler Minton. he just was on. He just fought to get in the house on on the Ultimate Fighter. He didn't make it in, but he fought to get on that. I train with a guy named Stony Hale quite often. He's a Bellator veteran. I train with a guy named Dustin Long. He's doing some big things. A guy named Adam Townsend, who's doing some big things. We got a couple legit guys at our gym. My coach Casey Oxendine is a second-degree black belt under Helio Seneca. There's a lot of guys. I travel when I can. Get down to Knoxville and train with some of those people. So I've got a couple of tough guys to train with who have kind of been on some bigger shows and bigger spotlights, and we have a whole just a buttload of amateurs at our gym as well.
The way you broke down Will Brooks, saying that he never stops, never quits going, that to me is his toughest attribute, that he's a guy that just will not quit. You've hit him hard, you've rocked him a little bit, he's still coming at you. You've caught him in 2 different submissions, he's still trying to aggressively grapple you. He doesn't quit coming, and that makes him very dangerous. I don't know if he doesn't understand that he's in trouble, or that he just knows how to keep moving forward, and that's how he battles out of it. Because a lot of times in some of his fights, I've seen him in a lot of trouble, but he doesn't seem to know that he's in that trouble and gets out of it just by pushing himself forward and keep being aggressive. Is that tough to train for that? Because your training partners have to be in great shape too. And sometimes training partners, they're sitting at home on the couch. They're in the middle they're in a downslide. They're just in technique portion of their training. They're not in a full hard training camp. So is it tough getting your training partners up the cardiovascular system to be able to maintain that kind of pace?
No. I don't know. A lot of people know a lot about Stony Hale, but one of Stony Hale's best attributes is if he's not better at you than something, he's just going to beat your ass until he is, or until you're not as good at it. That's why you rotate in training partners. So if someone is starting to slack off a little bit, or they're getting tired, or they're not in the best shape, that's fine, because 30 seconds into the round, somebody else is jumping on you. Sometimes we do traditional stuff, meaning that, sorry, my daughter's here trying to get in the spotlight. But
it's fine.
Sometimes that means that you're going to go a 5-minute round and do a 30-second rest, and then sometimes that means that in the middle of that 5-minute round, a fresh guy is going to take you down from behind. You just got to make those adjustments. So and that's what we've done. It's not all straight up. It's not all straight up stuff. And if someone's having a bad day, or if I'm having a bad day, whatever it is, we make those adjustments to keep the training going hard.
Well, Nate, thanks for coming on here and spending a couple minutes with MMA Oddsbreaker. I appreciate it. I really do like the way that you broke down Will Brooks. It's a very good assessment, and that's actually how I see it as well. So it's going to be an interesting fight for me, especially since it's the first pay-per-view card for Bellator. I want to see how well everybody does. Is there any extra anxiety added to you going from a Florida regional circuit to all of a sudden being on the big national stage with Bellator and being on their first pay-per-view card?
No, it's awesome. I've always wanted to fight for Bellator and/or UFC, and I think I've put in the time. I've definitely been in the game for a while, so I'm very excited. I probably would have picked a different time to do it, especially when I was kind of on a run of wins. But at the same time, I'm glad that I'm getting the opportunity. I'm glad that I'm getting to fight somebody tough. I'm not just getting ushered in. And I have a contract that stipulates other fights, so I know win, lose, or draw with this one, the world's going to get to see what abilities I have, and I'll get to test my abilities. So I couldn't ask for more. Well, except for more money. There's always more money.
There's always more money. There's always more money. Well, that's Nate Jolly. He's getting ready to fight Will Brooks coming up here on May 17th on Bellator 120. His fight is on pay-per-view, but you can see the undercard, of course, on Spike TV. Nate, thanks for coming out here. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon, bud.
All right, thanks. You have a good day, buddy.